First, let us create the view app. There are several ways for creating a view app. I will be using Vite in this demo. npm create Vite at latest. I can specify the project name here, or in the next step, when it asks me for the project name, I can provide one. I will provide here. Whenever it is going to ask me, I will say the project name is interactive clickable map. I will use underscore clickable map, and this is a view project. So let's go to view, and of course I need JavaScript or TypeScript. I will go with JavaScript for instance. Then we will switch to interactive map, and first let us code in this location, code space and enter. Now we have got the folder location on the left side. The next step is we don't have an npm modular percent. So let's start with npm install. It may take a while based upon your internet connection speed. There we go. We installed npm node modules. So first thing, I will open up the source app. Without doing anything, let us try to see npm run there. And let us increase the size here, and also increase the overall size a little bit. It's okay. Okay, so we managed to press enter. Let's see what it happens. Opening up the page here. Okay, there we go. So this is our default v plus view application. That's fine, and it is working. No worries there. Let us go ahead and remove everything and start building up our map first. A plain empty template. Let me give something like this. I think this will be okay. So we don't need the hello world at present. We will do everything in the app.view itself. It depends upon what you are building. In my case, I don't need this hello world. I don't need this hello world at present. I'll just okay. Let me turn on word wrap. Don't need this, and let's save. Okay, this is very simple and basic. That's fine. The next step is we need to display the map here. The whole idea or concept that we're going to do this video is to show an interactive map of any country that we need, and based upon the user selection we are going to show or display some values. The idea is very simple or minimalistic, but it can be enhanced based upon your needs. So first thing first, we need an SVG map. Let's start searching it from the internet. Now again, we are going to use a SVG map, but in case you already have a SVG map of your office or any layout from any construction building, you can still use the same. The concept remains the same. SVG map India. Where we have several maps. I'll open up something. This is just again an example, so I will download the map here. You can have any map you want, Iran, Indonesia, Iraq, that's totally up to you. I've downloaded the map. The next step, I will bring the map to my assets from the downloads. Okay, from the downloads folder, I managed to bring the India map here. Currently, what we will do, we will not do anything, but directly go ahead and use this India map and show how it looks here. So let us remove everything else. Let us remove all. Just go ahead and say something, and let's give it a title. Say clickable interactive map. Save. Okay, there we go. And this one is in the center. I don't need it to be in the center. So Let me put style. Yep, let it be here. We will style that later. The next step, what I will do, I will create a image and src is equal to in the previous folder we have assets. Now in the same folder we have assets folder, and inside that I have India SVG. Save. Now I've got the India map, and let us have the width as 100%. We don't need to go like this. So let us have the width as 100%. So for this div, let us put everything inside a div now, or better we can go to the style.css, because we are mounting it on top of element called id. So go to the style and find the id here, and let it be, for instance, if I keep it at 100% here, something is cutting there. So let's keep width of this one is always at 100%. So now that's fine now. So now even then even we say that let's not have the padding or margin, let's remove them both, and let's also remove the max width. Okay, currently this is fine. Let's maximize and see how it looks. Okay, this is little fine for now, and let's go ahead to our code from app.view. Now this is fine, this is the map that we have got, but what we need is, when we hover the mouse, we need to display some value. When we select something, we also need to display the values, or the title, whatever you want. So for the we cannot directly use the SVG. Comment out, save, go to the India map here, and for time being, let it be here, and let's maximize our code. What do we have? SVG usually contains the path or the geometry values. Currently, this one is properly laid out. They have a proper ID, they have a proper title. Maybe in case you don't have something, you need to define which path has which ID or which title. Those values needs to be provided by you. In case you don't have something, I will suggest using, if you have a commercial version, you can use Illustrator. This is from Adobe, or you can go with the free version, Inkscape. This is the may or may not. This step may or may not be applicable to you, but I just want to show this to you how it works. For instance, let me open up or import the file India here, and press OK, and I have it here. So now this is my. I have placed it, but still my mouse hasn't come out yet. Okay, let me press shift or control and zoom. Okay, control and zoom. Whenever I select some element here now, after I have placed it and managed to zoom it, for some reason my link space is acting weird, maybe because I'm recording the screen, but that's okay. So when I select something and right click and go to the object properties, I will be able to see the property ID, and then I will also be able to see the title, label, everything. Usually this is grouped together, but in case I want to see without it grouped, what I usually do, select everything, control shift G, which is for ungroup, or you can right click and say ungroup. After you have ungrouped, you can select a specific and you could see that this is INJK, and you have a label value, and this is UP, and this is MH, and this is TN. So this is the way how you can edit or play with different SVG files. In your scenario, if you are going to build an SVG from an AutoCAD file or some other 2D layout creating software, or any BIM authoring software, all you need to do is just export them to a format which can be imported here as an SVG, then modify the values. Now let us close this in space. We don't need to print some resource there. Okay, so that was just to give you an idea how you can deal with SVG files. But currently the one that I have downloaded has all the information that I need. It has the title attribute, it has the ID attribute, everywhere it is perfect. So what I need to do, I need to copy this SVG along with all the values. Let us just directly go over and copy everything inside the SVG file and go to this app.vue.js. Let us put it inside another div, everything. When you put everything, obviously there is going to be some errors because some of the styles or methods might not be readable by JavaScript or the HTML. So this one is not required. Remove it and go ahead. And metadata is also not required. Remove that section completely. And remaining is totally fine. Now let us see whether it has created or generated our requirement. Okay, so now instead of using the file directly, we have created something like this. How do I know that it is working? What is this? AN is Andaman and Nicobar Island. Since I'm from India, I know that the small island here is Andaman Nicobar. Let us play with Kashmir at the top, or maybe the second one, whichever is closer to us. Because since okay, AP, Andhra Pradesh is somewhere here. So let's try to fill some color to see whether it is working or not. If I try to fill the color with violet, it is filling up. So in case I try to fill the color of Andaman and Nicobar Islands with purple, let's say, fill purple. Just pay attention to the bottom here. This is Andaman Nicobar Islands. That turns into purple. But this is not how I need to define my application. I don't need to manually fill color everywhere. What I need is when I hover my mouse over or when I select something, the color should change. Okay, at present this is totally fine. Let us go ahead and if you want to keep something, you can keep these namespaces, but most of them are not required. Let's remove everything, including the ID of the SVG. But in case you want to keep the ID, let it be there. Let's not remove it, but the defs not required. Let everything else be there. Okay, I have saved it and I have minimized it as well. Now going down, I know one thing for sure, which is SVG, and SVG contains so many parts. Like path 1 and I have like path 2. So many parts are there inside an SVG file. Minimize it, go ahead and remove all these style which are not required. Those are related to the previous ones. I'm going to say that whenever there is a path, just to fill the path with like all the path. So this is a dot is for class. I'm not defining the class, I'm defining the HTML element itself. So all the path filled with white color, all the path filled with white color. Save, everything is now white. So all paths are filled with white, and whenever I hover over a path, fill it with purple. So what I'm saying is all paths should be white, and whenever I hover over a path, it should be purple. So now I got two items, path and hover. These two are really fantastic. But now this is not sufficient for me. I need to display the values or elements or like the names. I need to show something. That might need a little bit more work. For first instance, what we will do, we will create a function inside the script, and before that, let's define our application itself. In the div here, I will give a margin style. No, not here. Below the div, let us add some, or above the div, let us add one more area where we will display our information. So first information what I need to show is like h2. This should be selector maps. Well, whatever I'm going to select should be displayed here. Okay, this one, let it be there. And another one is what I need is I need a paragraph and say that current okay, h2 current mouse at. So when I do the mouse over, I want to show where I'm at. current mouse set. Now here I will put a value of maybe h1. No, not h1. Let's say h5 and say for time being ap something. So here in this location, whenever I move a mouse, it is going to show me where I have kept my current mouse set. Let us do something like I don't need to put it in the bottom. So what I will do, I will create one more div with style display this. Let us create a div. Style display is flex. So I'm going to create a flex with this too. So they are side by side here. And let's see how it looks. Now this looks fine. Like current at this one, let it not be h2, let it be h3. Okay, current mouse at or current hover value. Let's keep it simple. Hover value AP. I have something like this, and okay, even though it is not aligned properly, let it be there. Let's give a color here. Style color is equal to yellow. Okay, so when I move the mouse over, I need to change this value of AP. So how do I do that? First thing, you need to bind this value to something. So go to your script, import the ref from reactivity, or it should be directly from view, and we have ref. Let's say now const hover value is equal to ref. Currently it is nothing. Let is empty string, and I will save this hover value and go down, or initially let it be like move your mouse. Initially the value will be move your mouse, and hover value take it down and go down to AP and put a double curly braces and save it here. Move your mouse. That's totally fine. Now get down here, and whenever you move the mouse over, you should be able to display that value or bind that value to this hover value. First thing I can show how we can do, and this again it can be done in different ways. First step, here at mouse over, whenever you move the mouse here, like change hover value. I'm just saying that whenever I move the mouse over, I'm going to call this function. You notice that I have added it directly to the path. And let's create a function with this one and say here, save it. Now, what is the property that we receive? Usually we will not receive, by default we will receive the mouse over value. Let's say hover val, or like h val, it could be anything. We are not in TypeScript, so forget about it. Console.log h, what did I say here? H value. Okay, so when I move my mouse over here, press F12 here and go to your console, and this one let it be darker to the bottom, clear everything, and I move my mouse over. Did I save it? Refresh. Okay, change hover value is there, and Yeah, of course, of course. Where did I put this? I put this mouse over only in AN, which is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So what happens only when I move here, it will not display the result. But when I move my mouse over Andaman and Nicobar Islands, I got this one mouse over. From here, I can do one thing. I can go ahead and say I got some value, which is the H over value. And if I notice clearly, this contains so many properties. The most important property that I am interested is the target. So if I get down to target, okay, target contains what? Let's go up, go. So many. Okay, target contains an ID, and target also contains attributes with ID and title. So target has an attribute called ID, and it also has an attribute called title. That's what we need to display. So let us assume that if hatch value is not null, and also hash value that target is not null, then go ahead and say console.log h value.target. Let's bind it to id first and remove this one, and I will also say console.log h value.target, or since log is will accept any array, let's log directly like this console.value.target. First we are logging the id and then we are logging the target itself. Clear everything. Oh. So currently it's not updated. Okay, let's refresh the screen. Okay, we got it. So an is there and then target itself is there. And if I get down here, why did I not give title? If you notice clearly, the target itself, which is this one here, target itself, I mean the console. If I get down here carefully and see, I have the ID value which is present. I obviously know that every item will have ID and then the class list. But title is something which is a specific attribute which is provided to this SVG. So I know for a fact that it is not present directly. So that's the reason why I didn't put title. Let's say if I try this one, title should not be present. Let's try. See, title is undefined because title is a user-defined attribute and a value, but ID is not user-defined. Even though the value itself is user-defined, but all HTML we know for a fact that it contains ID, it contains a class, it contains a default value. So for this instance, what we need is we know that it is an attribute, right? So let title is equal to h value dot target dot attributes of name called title. So let's get this attribute, and this attribute will have some value. Let us display that. Mouse over is still undefined. Refresh. Okay, so IN and Andaman and Nicobar Islands is now present. Well, this is fine. So now we managed to get it. Let us just go ahead and update the value now, hover value. So the hover value, currently we will put whenever we display receive it, hover value dot value. Hover value is a constant, it's a ref, so it's basically it will return as an object. So the value is equal to title dot value. When I refresh and now move my mouse over other places, I will not see this. But the moment I move my mouse over Andaman and Nicobar, it is updated. So it's working. But now that's a problem. Is it a feasible way to do this? So should I be copying this mouse over to all the path one by one? Like there are like several states present in India, so it is not feasible. So instead of putting it directly to the path, take it and put it in the SVG now. Why did I do like that? Because even though SVG contains several children, what we get at the end is the original target. So where the mouse over is happening, mouse over will always show the target as the original target from where you are displaying the element. For instance, let's see now. Let's come back to the error later. Let's come back to the error later. But our target is here. You see now, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, Assam. So now we managed to do it. But then why did we get this error? The error itself is the title is undefined. Where the title is undefined? I know that we know that all of our path inside the SVG contain title, but SVG itself, does it have title? It does not have title. It does not have an attribute called title, and that's the reason why the moment I move the mouse out of this region, the whole, there is a bounding box here. If you follow my mouse, there is a bounding box, and all these region can be considered as SVG. So you see here the SVG has a bounding box of height and width. So which means outside the map there is a region which is an SVG region, and SVG does not contain title, and that's the reason why we have this error. Only when we move the mouse to the SVG, our target is directly from SVG. But when we move the mouse here, our target is from the path itself. That's the reason why we have this error. To resolve that, we can do something inside our display here. If the title is not present, if title is not null, then display it. That's it, simple. And also display the value here. Let's refresh, clear everything. So now you could see that whenever you move the mouse over, you are only seeing the values, and even in the map here, let us remove this. Even in the map on the top, you will be able to see wherever you are doing it. Now, is it sufficient enough for us? No, we also need to show how we are going to select it. We need to select the items and we need to change the color. Okay, so for that, we use the same concept how we did the mouse over. Go to the SVG. Along with the mouse over, now add click, and whenever you click something, set selected path. Cool. Go ahead and create another function now. Function set selected path, and we again have the h value. In case you are using TypeScript, you will be defining give any or whatever you want. That's up to you. I'm finding myself repeating this process, but okay, currently it is fine. We now have, whenever we select something also, we will do the same. We will get the target and we will get the title, and we also show the title here. But before all these things, before we do everything, let us do one thing. Instead of doing all this, I'll comment it out. I'll just try to say that yeah, before I say something, let me get down to my first to Andaman, because this is very easy for me to handle. I will add a class, or let's say I will add a style and say that fill is purple. So let's save and see if purple. This is not clear. So let's say violet. Nope, pale green. Okay, something pale green looks okay. So I will just say pale green. And now I will just, since I know like how it looks, I want to give it a class and say selected state or selected path. Now copy this, minimize the SVG, get down to path and say that in case there is a class called, since it is a class, I'm putting a dot in front. If it is a selected path, just fill it with pale green. So in case I go to any SVG, for instance, not only this, now if I remove the class from Andaman and Nicobar, it turns white. And let's remove this and go to some other path. Let's get down to some path like this one. What is this? Mizoram. Mizoram is somewhere in the right top here. Yeah, the bottom one. Let's put the class here and say class is selected path and save. So it is now changed the color. It has now changed the color, even though the color is very difficult to identify. Let's put red so that it will be very easy to differentiate. Okay, let me find out where I put the Mizoram. Okay, and I remove the class selected path. That's fine. Again, there are several ways how we can filter a particular path, and then we can do this. The most, if you are dealing with only one item or two item, it will make sense to directly put something like this: class is equal to, you bind it to a property, like bind to the class. Since we are in Vue.js, we can bind to the class to is and selected, and if it is selected, then give the selected path to selected path, or else keep it null, something like this. So you need to have a construct like selected path, which is a boolean value, and based on the change you do this. But this is like, again, you need to maintain several parameters for all the properties or everything. So this doesn't make sense at all. So we need to do something very simple. So that's what we are going to do first. First instance, whenever you select a path or select something, like click something, I'm directly going to add a class to it, h value, that target. Now I know that, as I said before, each of the attribute like element will have something called as class list. How do I know that it has a class list? Let me show this to you. Let me put uh, let's do a debug and see how the class list works. So press F12 and go to the debugger. Just see that I'm in debugger. I'm not in. How do I bring it out? Separate window. Okay. Okay. So in the debugger, I go to the C sharp. Here are so many, so I need to refresh first. If I refresh, the latest one will be taken from here. Okay. App.view. If I get down the bottom, I will have this method wherever I have this one. Just I have installed this Vue.js dev tools, and that's it. Other than that, I didn't do anything. And I will just, I'm passing here, and let me add let us remove all the previous ones and say what is this property? H value. So let us watch the expression h value. Okay, so when I click something, I passed here, then I have it's passed again here, because at this point we don't have the h value yet. I'm not able to see the h value. I should not be watching h value. I should be watching h value dot target. Okay, I selected something which is Uttarakhand, and this one contains, it doesn't have a direct property called as an attribute called as class, but in instance it has something called class list. It also has attributes where we have id, title, and anyhow if we add the class, it will be added to the attributes. So now that I know that there is a property or something called as class list, I will just say target dot class list dot add. Usually to add a class list, we just directly need to give the value, which is selected path. That's it. Let's run this one and save this, refresh. We are still passing it here. Let's not put a breakpoint there. Pass. So now what happens whenever I select something, it is now added to the selection list. But is this a feasible way? No, there are a lot of open areas here. First thing, I need to be able to clear the values. Second thing, I need to be able to display what I have selected here. Like there are so many things that are still pending. So I cannot directly add the class list here. What I need to do is, I need to, of course, this is fine. Like when you select, you can add the class list to whichever is selected. But you should also be able to clear them. So first thing, let us add one more button here and say clear. So where above the selected maps, let us add a button and say clear selection and at click clear selection. And now this one, when I click, I'm going to call a method called clear selection function, and this function, let us call it as clear selection. And now just see this one. We at this point we had the the node value, or we have the reference to the node. Again, as with all programming languages, we can have different ways to solve the same problem. Now you can imagine about creating an array and storing all the targets, and then clearing them up and processing their properties and removing the class list. That is one possibility. In case you have like thousands of items, you can just, whenever you click something, you just take that target and store it somewhere else for reference, and whenever you clear selection, fetch the target, clear them up, and then release it. That is one option, but I'm going to be straightforward here because I want to explain one another function here with Vue.js, which is directly fetching the element, like the path element or the element like the SVG itself, and then looping through the values. I just want to show how it works. So SVG map is equal to ref null. So currently I am attaching this SVG map as a reference. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bind it directly to the map. So it's basically like fetching the HTML element itself inside your code. If you ask me if this is a better solution, I don't know, but this is just to show you there is a way like this to do it. Ref keyword and then say this SVG map. So now what we have done, we are saying that the SVG map itself can be referenced using SVG map from the script. So whenever I call the SVG map, I will have the direct access to the HTML element itself, or the DOM element itself. I can go ahead and do something like this, DOM.get element by ID or element by class name, but I don't want to do that now. I just want to do with the SVG map and the ref object. So now that I know that SVG map is there, if SVG map is not null, and what is an SVG map? It is again a SVG element. So I know that for a fact it's a SVG object. SVG object will have something called children. So if both are not null, wait. This is a const ref. So obviously we cannot directly use it. We need to use it with value. So that value is not null. For each element or path, remove the classes. So let us first get the children and console login to see whether we are getting that or not. Console.log svg map.value.children. Okay, let's press F12, select something, go to the console, clear everything, clear selection. So I got the HTML collection, so which means that I'm able to get the HTML collection now. The node is nothing but HTML collection. If I go to the debugger and put debug here at this console.log and press the clear selection again, I have reached SVG map, which is true, and the value is also true. Value is not null, and then it contains 36 child element, and it contains node, and it also contains children. Maybe we can deal with child nodes or children, whichever we feel like we want to use it. Okay, now that we know that it is there, the next step is to go ahead and let me put it out here. Okay, for the next step, let's get all the values first. Variable, whenever I press F3, I'm just jumping over there. I don't know why. Let me press here. Okay. So let nodes is equal to svg map dot value dot let's not go to children, let's try nodes and call them as nodes. And for, let's call for loop. Okay, for index is 0 to array is nodes dot length, and then element is nodes of element, whatever it is. Let's see if we are able to receive this element first. Okay, refreshed it. Let's open up F12. Go to console, refresh everything, clear selection. Okay, so we now managed to get all the nodes here, and you could see clearly some of them are having class. For instance, here we have class, 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 and class. So some of them are having class, so it is working. Okay, so we managed to get the element, and the next easiest step is element already has since we know that it has an attribute, but instead, like some of the element might not have the attribute. So if element dot has attribute, I am not seeing it. Okay, so has attribute, I believe, or not attributes, attribute called class. If it contains an attribute called class, we should not remove all class. Maybe it already has some other class. So only remove from this attribute this particular class, like maybe it contains already several classes. Remove only the selected path. Selected path, right? Selected path. Okay. So from this one, remove the selected path and just remove it up. That's cool. So now whenever we do the clear selection, we saved it, but we did not refresh it. So we are now able to select them and clear selection, remove them, select them, remove them, select them, remove them. This is fine, but is there something else that is missing? Like, do we need to add some more? Yes, of course, we need to show the selected maps. So for selected maps itself, we are now only adding it in the selected list. Instead of doing something like this, we will create one more constant and say selected states. Why did I put maps? It's already a map. Selected states. And this one, selected states, is obviously going to be what? It is going to be an array. Array of anything. Array of anything. Like this is I'm just initiating it as an array. And selected states, I will bind to wherever we have the selected states. I will first what I will do currently, okay, we will move it again. Currently we will bind it to selected states like this, and you should be seeing some value here. No, not yet, nothing, nada. Anyhow, no problem. Whenever you set the selected path, you just say selected states dot value. Now that we know that it is an array, we can just say that you can spread out the previous value, selected states dot value, and then add new value. So the previous value should be only the target ID. How did we get the ID here? Like this one. We know that we can get the ID here like this. So let's just say title ID, and let's also get the title and also get the ID. So we get both attributes ID, and let it be an object like this, which will be ID and which will be title. So that's cool. What happened? Something went wrong. Let's see what it is. Any is not defined. Obviously, we are not in TypeScript, so we should not have any. If you are in TypeScript, we will be using that something like this. So select. So you are seeing everything. That's totally fine now, and you are clearing up. Clear should also remove this. So on clear selection, after you deal with all the children and everything, just clear selection directly. So what is it? Selected states. Selected states dot value dot clear. Does it have a clear option, or no? We don't know, but so we'll just say that it is an empty array. So let's select like this and clear. Select like this and clear. So now it's working. So we know that it is working. So next step is we are getting something called ID and we are getting title, and it is called as attribute itself. We should not have attribute. Why should we have attribute? So the ID should be value. Attribute of title should be value. Save. Clear selection. Select. What? Okay. So now I got it. I have one more problem now. You see, like I press Jammu and Kashmir again and again, it is duplicating the value. So we should not be duplicating. So what we need to do, instead of directly doing like this, we have like we have set, right. I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I think it is set. If you put set like this, it will only give you the unique values. If I'm not wrong. If I select Rajasthan again, it is working. Refresh. Jammu Kashmir again. Nope, something is wrong. So it's not like this. But it should work. Did I save it? New set should actually only be giving me the unique values. It should not be giving me all the other values. So let's refresh. Select Jammu again. Set 3. It should not be set 3. Very weird. Okay, what I did now, I was just doing some experiments, and then I realized that for some reason this object itself is not considered unique by set. So if I converted it into a string, then it is yes working. JSON dot stringify. So now I'm not able to, if I press Jammu Kashmir for a second time, it is working. But will it be useful for us if it is in the form of a string? Will it be useful for us? We don't know yet. Let us try something. If it doesn't work, we will come back again. So currently, let us remove the stringify and just save it and see that, okay, even if I press 2 times, it is working, but that is totally fine. I know now for a fact that the selected states contains the selected items. I need to display them here. So let's go ahead to our selected states here. Instead of showing everything, we will use for each method, v for each state in selected states with binding, right? So you need to give a key, which is state dot. I know that a state contains a property called ID, and here state dot title. Or maybe we'll just say the state dot title and state dot ID with a hyphen or underscore maybe, or like something like this. So let's see. Jammu Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, blah 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 blah. So this one again, I don't need it in the form of line, so it is taking up so much space. Let us put it again as a div with the same like what we did here. It's a flex, and we'll align the items, and inside which we will put h4. So we now know that when we save it, it will be one by one. So no. Let's not give align items like this and save. Okay, so we got it's one by one like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. I'm really bad in text align as center. Let's add one more and see it's going on and on. Nope. Currently, let us not try to do that one now. Let's try to keep it outside and simple. Later we can later do the CSS. That's okay. So now we have Jammu Kashmir 1, 2, 3 several times. We were trying to do something with stringify. Let us try to see if stringify works now. For the same line, I'll just do a copy paste of this line and comment out the previous line. And JSON.stringify is going to be a string. I'm just going to assume that it will work. Save. Nope, it doesn't work. So why it doesn't work? Because the moment we stringify them, it becomes a string and we are not able to get the properties again. So what I would say, after we stringify and then prepare this new unique set, let us again convert it back into object using json.parse. So we use a stringify to prepare a string so that we are able to get the unique elements. Then again we use json.parse to get the objects back. Let us do something now. Go to our this is where we are doing it, right? Let us just comment them. At present, where are we? We are there. Did we make a mistake? This is something different. Let us comment it out and just see how it looks. And just say, instead of state, we just say selected states completely. And now we will keep both so that we know that it is working. Okay, something like this. So we know that we have a unique set. Like if I press Jammu Kashmir again, it is not working, but still it is not displaying here. If I add one more, one is getting added, but then again it is not displayed here because it is a string and it doesn't have an ID object. So we are converting it or stringifying it just to add the unique value. The reason why we do like that is when we are dealing with an object itself, when we try to give the set, it was not able to detect or parse or identify whether it is unique, it itself is unique or not. So after we do, before we do this, let us just create one more, like unique. Is the spelling correct? Unique values, unique comma values is equal to let us get this one first and paste it, and let's say unique values. Save it, refresh. Okay, so that's working. That's fine. So now the next step is, after the set itself is created, we have gotten our set, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to array dot from, we are going to create an array from whatever the value that we have got here. Then finally what we will do, json dot, like the map is like what we do is, like, we receive an array and then from that array we are going to map. A map is basically method. So if you hover, what does it say? Like, it is again a collection which is performs some operation of each of the element and then it provides a new array. So we got an array of string values. We are going to map them, or like take each element and then we are going to parse them and return a new array which is very unique values of objects. Let's try now. So you see, there is an error again. Let's see what's the error. Okay, so there is one big issue here. I think I should not even have went with stringify method. So what happened here actually is when we are first, before that, just to keep it add class get title and ID, fetch unique set of values, assign the values. Okay. So the problem here is if we notice clearly, we are trying to first spread some values here, and after we spread, we are trying to map the value again into JSON because we are stringifying something. So to a set of object, we are adding a string and then again we are trying to convert the string. But the problem what happens here is, when you are trying to, when you do this particular line, like when you map is, you are basically converting the string, like whatever string you are adding here, you are converting it back into an object. So the existing value becomes what? Like a list or an array of object. So the second time when you receive this value, You try to parse, you are not receiving a string, you are receiving an object. That's the problem here. I will quickly show something just for your understanding. The console.log current p and return json.parse p. Okay, so we will see that on first instance, anyhow we don't have anything, so p will be the first thing. So immediately there will be no value here. So the first object is string. But when you do for the second time, you already have converted your initial object to a string to an object. So second time when you select another state or something, you are going to receive an object and JSON will not be able to parse it successfully. That's the problem that we are facing here now. If I try to now, if I save it and try to refresh the page, go for an F12, select, you see the first time current is a string, so we successfully managed to convert it. But second time when I select something, it is a proxy which is nothing but an object, so JSON is not able to convert that. So that's a problem here. I think I should not even have went with stringify concept. I should have went with a simple mapping concept. Remove this concept itself. So instead of doing all the stringify, what I will do now, whenever I receive an object, I will first try to add a new array. So basically, like instead of all these nonsense, I'll just say updated array is equal to, it's going to be very simple. I'm spreading out my selected state's current value, and from the spread out value I am going to add my ID and title. So what happens here, it's a very simple straightforward updated, simple updated array. So now I have an updated array. Maybe this could be duplicated, of course it will be duplicated if you are trying to select for 2 times. So next step is, from this existing value, let us get the unique value. So just remove everything here. Okay, and what we need now, we now have something here, right? So we now have something here. From this one, let us prepare a new set. Now what I will do, let's say instead of this unique values, I will say unique IDs. I will, from this array, I'm going to get a unique ID. Like I know for a fact that this is an object array, and each object already has a ID, right? So I'm going to say that new set, it should be a capital S, a new set where from this updated array, give me only update array dot map, give me only whatever is the ID. So this is what I need. So I'm saying that I'm going to prepare a unique IDs from the existing arrays. Since I'm using set now, earlier our problem was we were trying to do the set with the list of our array of objects and we were facing some trouble. Now instead of doing the set with array of objects, you are doing a set with array of single value. So when you are dealing with a single string value, it is obviously, it's very easy and straightforward. You are going to get the unique IDs. Now what we do now, finally we get unique objects, or let's say values. So now we need to first get an, it's a set. You cannot directly have call all the array functions in a set. So you need to create an array from this set. From the unique IDs, I'm creating an array, and then once it becomes an array, I'm going to say like, okay, now I have got, from this array I will get each unique ID. So this unique ID I need to map somewhere and return the value. So where will I map? I now know that I have an updated array which already has all the duplicated values. From the updated array, I am going to now return. So I know that I need an ID value, and then I need something called title, which I will find from this. So all val, let's say all val, from all val dot id is equal to id. So basically what I do here, I fetch I get the unique IDs, and then from this updated array, I am finding the values and get the title there. So now I know that this is going to give me unique ID and then unique title. So that unique values I have merged here, like assigned here. So that is okay. So let us refresh back and go back to F12. Clear everything and see Jammu Kashmir and press again. It doesn't work. Uttarakhand, cool. Something else, Madhya Pradesh. So now I am able to ensure that only unique values are selected. Now that we know that we have got what we need, we don't need to display the top area now. Let's go back to our state here, and this selector state will comment out, save, refresh. So let's see if it works. Okay, so we have unique values now. Clear selection clears everything, and hover also gives me hover values and clear selection. So now we are able to get the selected states, and also we are able to get the other items. Let me try one more thing, same like this hover value. Let me try one more div and see if I'm able to. Come on, whatever I do. Cut this out, paste it here, and style is display inline. I'm just trying to see if it works. Nope, it's not working. Maybe this H4 also should have the same inline. Maybe. Let's try. Yeah, that's working. Okay, so now let's do like this. So we have selected Himachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Jammu Kashmir. There needs to be some kind of a space. That is okay now. If we need to do much modifications, we can still do them as you want. With style, and let's give this H1 margin padding of 3 pixel. Save and see what happens. Nothing happens, so I will just say margin of 3, and there is a space available now. Maybe margin of 10 pixels will give me more space. Okay, so now I have Himachal Pradesh followed by space, and everything else is selected. Okay, so now we know that we can select the values, hover them. So I'm selecting Andaman and Nicobar, so it's selected. Selecting what is the state? Arunachal Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Gujarat, Kashmir, Rajasthan. So I can now move my mouse over. I clear selections. I can also select them. So this is now a possibility. Now, if you have some other API where you can fetch further information, like show a Google map or show some other information related to a state, for instance, I know for a fact that there is an API called country state information something. From there, you can use this India MP information and fetch more details about this particular state, like Jammu Kashmir. I want to find all the cities available. I can still fetch them and display. But for that purpose, when you select or when you click, you need to handle that in your script. Whenever you click or set the selected path, you need to fetch the API results from somewhere, and you can still display more values here. So this video is about preparing an interactive map, and this is it. I hope you now have some little bit idea about how to do this. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you all again in another video soon. Thank you.